Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm podcast for movie lovers just like you. Disclaimer at the top of the show, we're not experts. However, we do love watching movies. With me each and every episode is my close friend and artist, Danny Haas.
Hello.
And our close friend and spiritual advisor, Proto.
Blake Lively and Jason Baldoni. Who are these people? We will answer this question and more.
Oh my God.
I cannot believe you brought this up.
Every movie that we cover is connected to a theme for that month, and this time it's FEM-BRUARY. We're only selecting movies from the official Women Directors Top 250 list on Letterboxd. And you can use the chapters in your podcast app to skip right to our main discussion, which is Proto's pick from 2023, The Peasants. Breaking news that just came over my desk as we're recording today. I'm glued in to the various Star Wars subreddits.
Yeah.
Saltier Than Crate /R is very popular. /Star Wars Watto. Ever remember this guy?
Yeah.
From The Phantom Menace.
Let me guess.
Hold on, I'm not done yet. He's the guy who owned Annie and his mother.
Yeah.
That got freed. Watto allegedly dies in a new Star Wars comic book, murdered by the only Darth Vader.
Wait.
That's what I read. Did you hear about this? Danny, you're also glued in, right?
It makes sense, right? I'm not glued into the comics. No. No. I mean, maybe some days I'll read a little bit, but it's too much. But he also enslaved Anakin.
Yeah, he's a slave owner.
So, sorry, Watto.
Is this canon? Is this new canon?
This is canon. This is official.
So when would he have done this? When he went to rescue his mom? Or is this later he returns?
I think he comes back post-transformation as Vader.
For to settle the score?
Settle the score one more time. Mm-hmm.
I kind of like it.
Rest in peace, Bozo in chat. Tap F to pay respects to Watto if you're into that. I don't approve. Watto has a very sordid past. I'm not one to pass judgment.
He's a complicated figure in the Star Wars universe.
I have a lot more to say, but maybe I'll save it for the uncut episode. It's a little too juicy.
Maybe just keep it to yourself.
To get into. We're kicking off FEM-BRUARY. From Watto to FEM-BRUARY, the ideal segue for any movie-related podcast. It's Proto's pick, The Peasants, later in the show. I thought of, it's 5 years. We've hit 5 years for this show.
Yeah, you're right.
5 years running. What a run.
We did it.
And this is FEM-BRUARY. I was just a little trivia game. I thought we could play to open up the show. A little game of trivia. Okay. If you had to guess without using your keyboard.
Not touching it.
Proto, just FYI, we can hear your keyboard when you use it. It's very loud.
Oh, really?
What do you think the highest grossing movies are directed by women?
Highest grossing movies are directed by women.
Directed by women.
Yeah. See that I looked.
Danny's looking at chat.
I didn't mean to look
at chat. Just say it out loud. Just say it. Just say it. Barbie. Barbie's
got to be one of them.
Ding ding. That's one.
Can we get a round of applause for chat for ruining this game?
How about The Matrix?
The Matrix. I'm just going. Let's go top five. Matrix is not in the top five.
Chat. Keep going. Matrix not in top five.
Not in the top five. No.
Oh.
Top.
I mean, we could stick with the Wachowskis. Speed Racer.
No, Speed Racer not in the top
Speed Racer was
five.
above Matrix.
I'm not even sure Speed Racer made any money at the box office.
That's true.
They're still
we
in
might
the
have covered
red.
that in Blockbusted.
yeah, that's right. Let me say one that you're not going to get, and that's the first Captain Marvel movie, Anna Boden, co-directed with
Oh.
Ryan Fleck. 1.13 bill global receipts.
Wait, which movie?
Captain Marvel with Brie.
The first. No, I was thinking the Marvels.
Oh, so this includes like fake movies.
Just because you forgot about the Captain Marvel movie, perfectly great movie, doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
I really wasn't even thinking MCU. So I guess we have to go to Wonder Woman next.
Okay. Hello. God, Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, Patty.
Over 800 mil on the OG Wonder Woman. Actually, now that you mentioned Wonder Woman, remember when Wonder Woman 2 was like released on HBO Christmas morning during the pandemic?
God, I do not have any memory of that.
You know who else was in that movie? Say his name.
Pedro Pascal.
Chris
Pedro
Pine.
Pascal played the bad guy in that movie.
He did?
Yeah, that movie feels like 15 years ago.
What was the bad guy's name?
One of those lame DC villains. Max Evil, probably his name. I don't know.
Max Evil.
Investor. Evil investor.
Max Evil Investor.
Entrepreneur.
If you get one of the remaining two, you have solved.
I mean, is it another Marvel? Is it Immortals?
Immortals? No.
Or Eternals?
Eternals? No. Another made-up
Is it
movie from
another
Proto.
comic book movie, though? Because then
Not
I don't
a comic
care.
book. No.
Oh, okay.
This is going to be something so obvious.
Yeah, you guys are going to be
I'm going
pissed
to
off.
kick myself.
I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is tough.
Can we get a lifeline here?
No,
Can we
but
get a decade?
I will tell you the franchise name.
It's a franchise?
To end this, it is Frozen 1 and 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Frozen 2, $1.45 billion. And Frozen 1, 1.28. There you have it, folks. That's a little bit of the 70 millimeter pod trivia segment. Could be coming weekly.
Okay.
On the reaction to this
That's
segment.
stressful now.
I know. We have a lot to get to tonight. The other fake intro topic that I was going to bring up was DeepSeek, the new AI
Jesus.
large language model from China. We're going to get into that in the uncut. We don't have to get into that now. Say hello to some new patrons. Andrew, Brandon, Chanel, and James all became patrons of ours. $4 a month, got access to uncut, longer episodes, early access to episodes, and over 70 in the vault, which just newly added Quick and the Dead episode. Proto, do you watch any movies this week you're excited to discuss with us as friends?
I did. I watched probably the best movie of 2024.
Okay.
Maybe. You know, I've said that a couple times now. Best movie of 2024, you know, on Conclave. Best movie. There was another movie I watched last week. I think I said it was the best movie. Oh, Wicked. Wicked, best movie.
Wicked, that's right.
I thought you were going to mention some 3-star movie that you gave that said was the best movie of the year.
That was Conclave. Conclave was the best 3-star movie. Well, I mean, Furiosa was very good too for a 3-star movie. So it's neck and neck between those. But
Okay.
I watched A Different Man this week.
Hello.
From 2024. This is kind of a, I guess, to me, it kind of flew under the radar. I remember hearing about this, but it didn't seem like it got much press or much marketing. I think I watched the trailer when it popped up originally. This was released. Let me find the theatrical limited release, September 20th last year in the U.S. October 4th, nationwide.
Okay.
And I think I said in my review, I think the marketing or the trailer for this did the movie a disservice because I think it's to me it was a much different movie than what I saw in the trailer. I thought this movie was amazing. It is about this guy played by Sebastian Stan. His name's Edward, and he has like a severe facial deformity. But he's an aspiring actor. He has a new neighbor played by I can't say her name, Renette Rencive. That was butchered her name, but she's from The Worst Person in the World from 2 years ago. She's also been in some other stuff. Super hot right now.
Yeah.
But so this character, Edward, he gets this, he's an aspiring actor, and then he finds that there's this experimental drug trial that he could take to possibly heal him from this. And the movie kind of goes from there. I don't want to say anything else because it's pretty incredible. I think how the story is set up and then how it ultimately is revealed in the second half of the movie. It has like this really great dark humor, some like, morbid stuff just about like life and the difficulties of like a lonely person trying to make their way, of like figuring out who they are, trying to find love, trying to find success with the cards that you're dealt. And it's kind of thrown on its head later in the movie in some really, I thought, like brilliant ways. So I was like laughing during this movie. I thought it was really funny, really well written. And it also has my favorite story structure in like anything. I don't know if you guys remember from when we watched 1917, there's like this idea of the chiasmus, which is a structure where like the climax is in the middle of the movie rather than the end, and the movie kind of shifts from there. So this movie does that too, and it does it like really well. So I love this movie. I think this movie is going to be like, it's going to have legs, folks.
You're calling it.
I'm calling it now. This movie is going to be talked about for years to come.
Okay.
The cultural impact this movie had, we can't even determine it right now, because the fallout hasn't settled. So my highest recommendation for A Different Man,
5 stars.
possibly the best movie of 2024.
Sheesh.
5 stars.
I mean, speaking of Jeesh, 36 likes on this review from Proto. Cooking with gas.
It's huge.
On Letterboxd right now.
Well, I was inspired by Sebastian Stan. I mean, speaking of Star Wars, the other thing, this guy, I don't know if I've seen Sebastian Stan. I don't even know who this guy. Apparently, he's in Marvel movies.
We've said it.
Is he in? He plays a character in the Marvel movies.
I can't.
I'm gonna clarify something here. Yes, Proto brought up in his review that Sebastian Stan should be cast as Luke Skywalker as soon as possible. Yes, that's a great idea. However, we've said this on the show at least 5 times in the past. That Sebastian Stan should be recast and in a new Luke property on Disney.
Okay, so I've had this brilliant idea before.
It sounds like you agree. It sounds like you've agreed with us, not knowing who Sebastian Stan is, which is fine. I mean, although, however, you have seen the Marvel movies. He plays Bucky.
Yeah,
the Winter Soldier.
He's Winter Soldier.
Okay, Winter Soldier.
He's got a new one.
I'm going to write this down.
Thunderbolts.
Okay, let me write it down.
Write down Marvel on your notes.
Winter Soldier.
But again, the point has to be made. Disney is sitting on $1 billion idea.
Yeah.
With creating a new Luke Skywalker film franchise with Sebastian Stan as Luke. Oh my God. I mean, can you imagine it?
You can print money.
Just everyone takes 5 seconds of silence to picture Sebastian Stan in Juke's black priest Jedi robes.
Excuse me.
Picture
Who?
it. Starting now. Think about it. Okay.
The green light of his saber on Sebastian Stan's face.
My God.
I mean,
what if? Let me just throw out another idea.
Okay.
Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. We'll cast Mara Jade. Let's say Mara Jade is in this.
You're going to cast Mara Jade.
We'll save that maybe for the uncut. What if it's directed by Gareth Edwards? Gareth returns now completely empowered by his own creations and the creator and Jurassic Park 9.
Jurassic Park 9. Yes. Bring back Gareth.
All right. Enough tomfoolery. Proto, anything else you want to touch on? You're doing the Marvel MCU in reverse order.
Yeah.
I think is what I'm witnessing from your logs.
No. My son, he had a sleepover, and him and his friend wanted to watch Endgame. Well, first he was asking to watch a horror movie, and I'm racking my brain. What horror movie can my son watch? And
It.
Babadook.
no, I think I might have said you can watch Gremlins, and that's like it. I couldn't think of anything. So they put on Endgame, and
That's definitely a horror movie.
they watched they watched that whole thing, and then the next day he like wanted to show me. Oh, he wanted to know the song that Star-Lord dances to. The name of the song. So we skipped to that part, and then before I know it, we're watching Endgame. We're watching the second half of the movie, and it wasn't bad. It's not bad starting halfway in.
Oh, God.
It's an option. You can do that. I had no idea what was happening with a lot of stuff, but I enjoyed it nonetheless.
I'm excited to rewatch Endgame at some point in the future. Maybe for the
when
show.
do we do our MCU journey?
Great question. Episode 300. Do we wrap up with Endgame?
Wrap up the show.
Not just wrap up the MCU. Maybe we do something.
Okay.
We do one MCU movie a year for the next 65 years.
That's as much as I feel like Proto could take on this show for the MCU. I mean, I will say the directors of Endgame, the Russos, they have another hit property coming out next month, March, on Netflix called The Electric State, which is the most expensive movie ever made by Netflix. I'm just saying. Maybe.
I'm listening.
What if March is like adaptations month? Because that's adapted from a book. You know what else is from a book? Ready Player One.
If we do Electric State and Ready Player One in the same month.
What's your fascination with Electric State?
It looks like shit.
I don't know. I can't wrap my head around the Russos. They've gotten carte blanche ever since they did Endgame. I mean, they have that, was it an Amazon show? The Cartel or the Citadel?
Yeah.
It's like
$500 million an episode.
And nobody has watched it.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, ask anyone you know. They've never heard of this show. And it's on Amazon. It's like the amount of money being spent by these apps, it's bonkers. I mean, I read a headline, who knows if it's true, but they said that like 60% of the Rings of Power audience didn't come back for season 2.
Shocker.
60%.
That's on them. That's a mistake.
I mean, I'm glad people are getting paid to like make Amazon movies, but if no one's watching it, I don't know. Is it worth it?
If no one watches it, did it even exist?
Schrodinger's streaming movie. Look it up. Danny, what did you watch this week?
Let me see. Letterboxd Diary. I fired up. I forgot I watched I Confess. Anyway, I watched Saturday Night, the new movie from Jason Reitman, and it is the first night of Saturday Night Live in 1975, and I'm not a giant like SNL fan. I don't have like
You trash it a lot.
I don't trash it a lot. There's skits that I love. It's not something that I watch on a weekly basis. I don't think I ever really have. I can't remember. So I don't have like a nostalgia for Saturday Night Live. And this is literally the day/night of it. The whole movie is the first night. It's trying to get it on air. I don't know how much of the story is true or false, if this is actually what happened. It looks, I mean, the first like 20 minutes of this is so chaotic that I almost turned it off. I'm like, I don't care enough about SNL that I can't take this amount of energy right now. It was like stressing me out. But then I just kind of let it keep going, and it's a good movie. The vibes are off the chart though. Like visually, it looks so good. Like this looks like the 1970s in New York. And at least in the studio, I thought it was fantastic. And then it had me when I was done. I went back and like looked at footage of the first night of SNL. And when they showed like the skits that they were doing with Belushi and Chevy Chase and whatever their other names are, I can't remember now. They pretty much nailed them, like spot on. Like visually, it looked like it. They were nailing the sets. It was, I don't know. It ended up being a lot of fun. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. I think if you like SNL, then you're probably just going to love this movie. I think if you're a casual SNL fan, it'll be a 3.5 star movie. It's not a bad movie. I think if I had nostalgia for SNL, I'd love it a little bit more, but I think visually it's pretty good. I think it's worth the watch.
I feel like I grew up watching SNL reruns on like Comedy Central.
Oh,
when
weird.
Spade, like the Spade Sandler era.
Yeah.
The Listen Lady or whatever that character was.
Yeah, Corey Michael Smith playing Chevy Chase was pretty uncanny. Like it was pretty good. I laughed like almost every time he was on the screen. He nailed it. And then Dylan O'Brien playing Dan Aykroyd was solid too. Yeah, and then today, leading into our night of recording The Peasants, I watched the director duo again, Loving Vincent, their first movie, or not their first movie. The first painted movie that they did before The Peasants. So I watched Loving Vincent today, and I gave that 5 stars. That was an incredible film.
Whoa! I
visually loved it. This is kind of blowing my mind how they did the same animated painting style, but it's all done in the style of Vincent van Gogh's art. And I really like the story too. It's about like the last letter being sent to his brother before Vincent died. And it's kind of like a retelling of people who were around Vincent and his last few days. But visually it's nuts. It's just, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, his last letter to Theo, Grace.
Yeah, when you guys were talking about, like, is this the Loving Vincent team? And I was like, I have no idea what the F you guys are talking about. Loving Vincent. I didn't even know this movie existed. I didn't know that they had done other, like, animated, painted movies before. But, yeah most people I follow have given that movie, like, insanely high ratings.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story. I think the only other standout is Saoirse Ronan is in it. And then from Peasants, the guy that plays the son/lover of Peasants, he plays Vincent in the movie.
I was just thinking about Mara Jade again. And when you said
you want Saoirse Ronan?
But then I was like, what about Mackenzie Davis?
Stop.
No.
I would cast Mackenzie Davis in everything.
Mackenzie Davis should be cast in more things, personally.
I love Mackenzie.
I mean, Sebastian Stan and Mackenzie Davis.
Don't ruin it.
I'm just saying. Again, I ask, how come we're not executives at the Disney company making these decisions?
Right.
I got a few reasons why.
All right. From Finding, what was the movie called?
Loving Vincent.
Loving Vincent. Nailed it. To The Peasants. Episode 250. This is the kickoff of FEM-BRUARY. We're only selecting movies from the official Women Directors Top 250 list on Letterboxd this month. This is Proto's pick. Proto, what is this movie all about?
Hagna lives in the farming village of Limps. Young and beautiful, she draws the eye of men and the ire of women. She has a love affair with Antek, the married son of the town's most powerful farmer, Bornya. But when Bornya marries Hanya and gives her his best land as a dowry, a dangerous stage is set where fear, lust, and greed will bring Yanya's life crashing down. The Peasants.
Streaming on Netflix, FYI. Co-directed by DK and Hugh Welchman. Dorota Kobiela. So if you get married, I was like thinking about that. If you get married, you could just use your first initials and then take the last name. Is that what she did? It's pretty cool.
What?
Nobody. Sorry, that was a lot. I didn't verbalize that, but I guess her full name is Dorota Kobiela, and then her married, like when they married, she changed it to DK Welchman, took his last name.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
He's not Polish. I think he's British, but she is. Anyway, I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I have a friend who, she actually did that. When she got married, she turned her middle name into her maiden name.
That's what Casey did.
What?
Her middle name now is her maiden name.
Interesting.
So she could be C.S. Haas.
I mean, that's a pretty cool name. It sounds like a seasoned writer
like
of some
C.S.
kind.
Lewis?
Yes, maybe that's where I'm thinking of. So I mentioned it, earlier, but I didn't have any background for even knowing what this movie was. I had no clue it existed. I didn't know anything about like a oil painting, animation style. Danny, did you knew about this movie previously? No.
I didn't. I knew about Loving Vincent, but I only knew Loving Vincent as I just thought it was an animated film. I didn't know to the extent of how it was animated, so I never got around to it. And I feel like I had just watched the other Vincent van Gogh movie with Willem Dafoe, which I also really loved. So I didn't really fire up Loving Vincent until obviously today. So no, I didn't know about Peasants and I didn't know about Loving Vincent to the extent of how they were made.
Proto?
This was definitely a letterbox discovery for me. I don't know when I originally found this, but Loving Vincent, when I heard about what it was, probably through some list on Letterboxd, I put it on my watch list. And then I remember when The Peasants came, I think The Peasants was nominated for like Best International Film, I think.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe. I remember seeing like a trailer at like an award show, like a clip of it and being like, oh, this is the Loving Vincent people. So I've kind of had my eye on these two movies, or just known about them and wanted to watch them. And then when I saw that they popped up on Netflix at some point, and then of course this month it felt like fate.
Right. I mean, I was complaining about Netflix or Amazon having shows that nobody watches or heard of. I got like an email from Netflix today, some season 2 of some show is out. It's like season 2 and this is the most watched show on Netflix. I was like, what is this show? I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
There's so much out there, folks. Yeah. It's scary.
Anytime when I look at the top 10 most watched of any streaming service, I'm like, what is this stuff? It feels like a psyop that these services are doing.
It's called The Night Agent. That was like what was advertised. The Night Agent debuts #1 with 13 million views. What? I feel like I'm on the up and up for the most part, For the most part. I'm not saying I'm getting everything right.
Yeah.
51%.
Everyone take 5 seconds right now and think about if you have ever heard of The Night Agent on Netflix. All right.
No.
Proto, what's the top of your list?
I just got to talk about just the oil paintings of this, right?
Yeah. Get into it.
I mean, it's the elephant in the painting. I've never seen anything like this. I think the thing that stood out to me for the most and was took a little bit adjusting to, and I think the primary thing that's different from like animated movies is, I don't know what to call it. I don't know if there's a term for it, but almost like this shimmering effect, because every scene is quote unquote oil painted. I know that when I was reading on the wiki, they said like there was a certain number of oil paintings done, and then the animators came in and kind of like filled in the gap. So I guess there was some kind of digital work that was done.
Oh yeah.
But as it moves through, it feels like everyone is an oil painting to the point where there's nothing static about any of these images. It feels like everything is alive and moving as you're watching it. And I loved it. Like I thought, I think it's an incredible feat the way this looks, and not just the the like, hey, we're doing like this gimmick of doing oil paintings. Like, no, like they do like really creative, beautiful cinematography and like visual tricks and like flourishes throughout the movie. And I think as it started, I was like, all right, this is pretty cool, but I wonder how the scenes with like more action or like moving characters are going to look. And to me, the wedding scene just like blew my socks off.
Yeah. Electric.
Like I couldn't, it is magnificent what is going on the screen. Mm-hmm. I was in love with that. And then paired with the music, I just thought it was really incredible. So even though it felt a little jarring to start, throughout the whole thing, I think I just kind of fell more and more in love with the effect as time went on.
Yeah, when you were talking about it last week, like the whole movie's an oil painting. I was like, how many paintings is that?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about 100,000 paintings here. Can we everyone cool out? I did watch like a little walkthrough of Hue, like through their like kind of art exhibit, and it's 1,400 oil paintings. So like there's 1,400 shots in the movie. So they did 1,400 oil paintings, and then they use like digital animation to kind of combine and move around. And in that art gallery, he had the original painting for the wedding scene. And that thing is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And like he's like, it's so amazing. Like this was originally painted by so-and-so. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. There was like 150 painters. But then he's like, and this was so beautiful, we ended up using it for the poster. So he's like walking through these corridors with, I think he still had 400 of the paintings left that haven't been sold yet that were used for the film. And they're all like insane. Mm-hmm. Like they're all beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wrote down as much of the stats as I could that he was rattling. I watched 2 kind of interviews with him. That one of the walk through the studio is incredible to see. And he says 120 painters from 4 countries, Serbia, Lithuania, Ukraine, and Poland. 1,400 shots. And then it ended up with all the in-betweeners, it was 40,000 paintings with an average of 5 hours per painting. That what he said. And I don't understand how that works, because in 5 hours, I would probably have an eyeball painted in oil.
How many paintings did you just say?
40,000. Not oil. When you add the in-between digital stuff.
Oh, I see.
Each frame ended up being about 40,000. And he was saying that if one person painted the entire film, it would take 100 years to make, which is insane.
Wow.
3 oil painted frames per second with the digital in-betweeners, which is wild. And then the other stuff I thought was crazy was, so there was 117 like design paintings, which is really like the style guide for the entire film, which everyone kind of worked off of. But some cool stuff was they were paying a lot of tribute to actual Polish painters. And there are scenes in the film that were from some famous Polish paintings that they kind of animated into the film, which I thought was incredible. There's a shot where she's laying in like a field with like a ribbon in the air. That's a famous Polish painting that they brought to the film and had it done. And then just so much incredible stuff they did. But there was 2 things that were brought up that was interesting, that the movie almost didn't make it. It was shut down twice because of COVID. And then the Russian invasion of Ukraine shut it down again. And they had 13 of the Ukrainian oil painters. They got them out of the Ukraine, and they let them live in like the studio that they had built for this. So they had like got them out before it got bad. And so they were able to continue working because they got them out of Ukraine, etc., which was interesting.
Pretty bonkers. Yeah, the stuff he was talking about, like the Polish realism movement, and like that's the stuff they tried to emulate in the art. I mean, just separate, even if you just like separate the movie, the art, the paintings, the oil paintings are stunning. And then you like add that to a film, like Proto said, it was kind of hard at first to not focus on the visuals because I had to read the subtitles. Like it's a subtitled movie, so you have to kind of ignore what you're seeing on screen for a bit. I was like, okay, I kind of don't want to. I just want to look at what's happening on screen because it's like, me personally, I've never seen this before in a film, so I don't give a crap what people are saying right now.
I think for me in the beginning, what took a bit to catch up was I instantly thought of, I don't know if you guys remember the Keanu Reeves movie called Scanner Darkly. Do you guys remember Scanner Darkly? Yeah, I thought about
that too.
Man, the instant this film started, I was getting just all Scanner Darkly vibes. The rotoscoping from that is what was fascinating, but I settled into this really quite well, and I really was in love with these paintings.
Another thing I liked about it too is I think you can see how there was like a lot of different artists involved with this because, and I don't know if it's because like their approach or they were just given more freedom. It seemed like at different times, almost even between frames, it looked vastly different in terms of like the coloring and like the hues on characters' faces. Some of like background shots looked much more like abstract than others at times. So I wonder, I don't know if that was like a choice they made, but it just seemed very clear that they weren't very strict in terms of like the constraints they were going to give the artist in terms. So it seemed like there was almost like more expression. And I don't know if, again, like if that's just comes with the territory of like working in this medium, but I thought that was really cool too, because it felt like in more ways than one, like the movie was alive and alive for that reason, the way that it kind of like shifted in subtle ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I mean, I watched it before I kind of dug into the research, it just made me think like the whole time I was like, wait, is every second an oil painting? And I was just like, my brain was melting for 90 minutes until I eventually researched the movie. Idiot Slim. Danny, what's the top of your list?
I mean, the top of my list is the paintings, but there's two scenes I wanted to bring up that I thought were just kind of rocked my world. One is just one quick shot, and it's when our main actress, her name's blanking for me right now, but it's right before her wedding day. Yagna. And she's sitting there, and it reveals her wedding dress and the sequins on that dress. And I was just like, how do you oil paint? Like, it's like you can oil paint like a still painting and kind of get a good thing. But as the frames progressed and as her hand kind of came down the dress and moved the sequins and the sequins caught the light, and they caught that with the oil painting so well that I was just like, this is a masterpiece. I was like losing my mind at what they did. It was blowing my mind. The second scene is the other dance scene after New Year's. After New Year's, where she dances with
Antec.
And she's in that red dress, and they do that really quick dance. It ends up being in front of his father, her then husband. The motion in that scene, the passion in that scene, like it also rocked my world. And I'm just, I wish more films were made like this, because there's something about the oil painting that made it more sexy, more like, I don't know, there was like a lot of passion that came out with the colors that they can produce. Just the movement itself, it was incredible.
It also feels like that's like an extra sensual dance. Like if I was in that bar, I'd be like, you guys want us to leave? Like,
red flags.
He's nailing this dance. If that means it's time for us to turn away and leave, probably, because we know what happens.
Cover
next.
Your eyes.
Like he was nailing the moves.
Yeah. Snapping them.
Yeah. And doing that in just like a village, it's like, buddy, we all know each other.
Everyone knows everyone's business in this village.
Plus, he's married. At 3/4 of the way into the movie, I'm like, wait a minute, who is this girl, this woman, this mother he's sleeping with that they got sent out? Are they married? And then I'm like, it took me half the movie to realize that he was married. And then I was like, man, this guy is such a beat off. This guy sucks. He's always furrowing his brow, Antec. Every time he came on screen, it looked like he was just about to assault somebody. I'm like, get this guy out of here. That guy sucks.
Resting angry face that guy had. It's funny you said it because I had that feeling too. I didn't realize like the second half of the movie after Bornya dies, the daughter Hanka.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was Antek's wife. I thought there was another daughter. Exactly. And it wasn't until like towards the end that I was like, wait, is she the daughter-in-law? It was kind of confusing for a bit there with these characters.
I mean, how big is the town? 100 yards? They're having sex in front of like his house. It's not that big.
Yeah.
It's not that big, folks.
I mean, you're out in a little cove gonna get it on, and there's an old lady, just strolling by.
Yeah.
Every time they were out strolling, trying to make some business, some old woman's walking
and then she's not trying to make business with the young priest. They're just having a 30-second conversation. That's it. People think she's trying to seduce the young priest. That priest looked like he had never been near a woman. Maybe ever. She might as well have been nude the way he was acting standing next to her. Fully nude.
I think all men in this town were affected by
Yes, they were. Let's listen to a VM from Grace. I believe this is focused on the movie The Peasants.
Hey folks, Grace here. I was so shocked and excited to hear this was Proto's pick for FEM-BRUARY. It's been on my watch list for absolute ages, and I had just talked to Pat about how much I needed to actually see it. Obviously, I don't know how the convo went tonight, but I think this film brings up some poignant topics that, due to the fun nature of the pod, aren't always discussed. This film portrays violence against women both casually and seriously in a very realistic manner. There's the larger acts of sexual and physical violence against Yagna, but there's also the smaller acts of harm against Hanka and Yagastinka. These all occur because they are seen as lesser because of their station, their gender, their naivete. I was reading some reviews on Letterboxd, which, big mistake, I know, and I saw a handful of people gripe that the story lacks originality, or that it was reductive to choose to adapt. I can't fault them that perspective, because there are a lot of, for lack of a better phrase, torture porn movies, and I could see how one could fit The Peasants into that category. But I don't see the point in deriding this work, because events like this have happened and will continue to happen. A scene that stood out quite strongly to me was the wedding scene, especially the ritual that all the village girls participate in. You could see the mix of emotion on the girls' faces. There's dread and fear, but also hope and joy at the chance to spend an evening on an active celebration. Like these girls, my underlying emotion throughout watching this film was one of unease, but that didn't mean that I let the beautiful scenery pass me by. And I think that's what the filmmakers are trying to get at. By juxtaposing the lush and rich landscape of the oil paintings with the turmoil and tragedy that Yagna faces, you bear witness to the highs and the lows of the human experience. The best and the worst of what it means to be a woman in society. There's love and laughter and joy, but also fear and hardship and violence. And, to quote the great Saoirse Ronan, that's what girls have to think about all the time. But, to bring it back down to the 70mm mold, who knew that Polish vocalist could remind me so much of Dune?
Oh, God.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Oh my God. Thanks, Grace. Yeah, the music. I think the music was as equally stunning as the animation. It didn't feel like a dated Polish folk 19th century score. I don't know. I thought the music was great. And it worked with like all those dance scenes and the dramatic scenes. So Grace was right.
Has Grace ever been wrong? That's the real question.
Great question. Find out next week. Proto, next on your list.
Next on my list. Well, one thing I was thinking about while watching this is like the Polishness of it all. I have a Polish last name. I grew up being told I was Polish. My dad is a certain level of Polish. I don't know how much. And so I always was like, people ask, what are you? It's like, well, I'm like Polish. So that was like the main thing. Was it last week where there were some comments in past lives about being Korean and like, I can't remember if it was in Past Lives or something else I watched. But just like what it means to be a part of a culture and how, because maybe 3 or 4 generations ago, you like come from a certain place. Do you really have any culture with you? Because like right now, if I went to Poland, I mean, what do I have? Like
6 acres.
I've eaten a bunch of pierogies, I guess.
Right.
That's like my claim to fame. Maybe I would have some resemblance. I really don't know. But watching this movie, there's something like I do long for that. I think in some ways, I'm always been very jealous of people who have like a culture, quote unquote culture, that they can grasp onto and say that's theirs. Or like, I mean, even like to have a grandparent who speaks a different language because they come from this other country, like that would be like, to me, that's like amazing, like to have that kind of connection. But I've never had anything like that. So like I have this like Polishness, but really there's not much meat on the bone. But watching this movie, it's like very, like it intrigues me so much more. And makes me wish like I had something more, if like I could find out more about that and like what that means. So I don't really have any final thought about that, but that was just kind of like something I kept thinking about, of like, oh, like I've been told I'm Polish.
Right.
Yeah, I have a Polish name, but I don't know how to dance like this.
Do we need to make a pilgrimage to Poland, Proto?
I would love to make a pilgrimage. And maybe we don't come back.
Maybe we start our own vodka farming company in Poland. Seems like everyone has vodka at the ready in this movie. I was like trying to research like how ingrained in the culture that was, and it is. I was trying to think of like the other Polish like customs that I have from my dad's side, but like the only thing that really immediately jumps to mind is for Christmas we would have pierogies, and I think it was like oplatki, those Christmas wafers. Did you ever do that, Proto, on like Christmas Eve?
No.
Oh yeah, there was like the breaking and sharing of these Christmas wafers that we would like pass around the table, and I'm seeing some yeses in chat. Let me post these Christmas wafers and. Oh yeah, I think it's also like Slovakian, Lithuanian households also do it.
Why are they so ornate?
They are ornate. It's like insane.
Is that a sacrament? That looks like a. Holy.
So I can't remember what specifically. We haven't done it in a few years, but I do remember there being like a specific thing we would say to each other as we like turned and broke off a piece of the wafer to each other, the members of the family. So maybe I need to bring that back. Oplatki.
I like it.
Let's see. Let me look at my list here. We already touched on the music. And Grace hit on a lot of points too that, it like, there is like like, I don't know how to say this, but it's a hard watch.
Yes.
Yagna is living a shit life. She gets like thrown into a marriage after kind of having a little bit of a potential fling with Antek. And that's part of life back then. Like her mother is literally selling her off to get land. And I think even at one point later in the movie, she said this line, "Love comes and goes, but land remains." I thought that was an amazing quote. And all of these women essentially, like they talk about marriage. Like I was getting annoyed how often I was hearing them talk about marriage. And like the old father, Bornya, his wife had just passed away. But every scene he's in, someone is chiding him about, "You get married again? Time to get married, Bornya? You getting married?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was like such a piece of the culture and life back then that like there's these deals where families are becoming connected to each other by how much land they can give each other and to survive off that land. And it was kind of fascinating to watch. But with that said, it makes it a difficult watch. Like she gets raped in one scene. She almost gets raped another time by the mayor. The mayor, my God. The second that this mayor appeared on screen, I knew he was evil and going to do something horrific. He's licking his lips in a way that is just so unsettling to me.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just pants that guy and kick him in the ass as soon as he was on screen. So for me, the viewer, I'm getting these like visual riches, these audio riches. But for me, I felt so bad for Yagna, and I did not care at all for the Antek and the Bornyas of this film. So for me as a viewer, I had like trouble connecting with the movie at all because anytime Antek came on screen, I'm like, get the F out of here. You suck. Like, I just felt like I wanted to like yell at Yagna. I'm like, wake up, please. This guy is a loser. He has incredible anger issues.
He's married.
He's married. His wife is miserable. They have kids. So I don't know. Like, I just grappled with that the whole time I watched the movie. I was like, this looks great, sounds great, but like, I don't know. But Pro, did you feel anything similar to that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I read some reviews about, the story is pretty rote or like doesn't tread any new ground or isn't original. But I did find it compelling in that, like, I feel like it's still relevant if the story of that time is as relevant now.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, like maybe certain aspects of life have changed, but like women still deal with these same things all the time, every day. Mm-hmm. So in some ways it's still like a story that has to be told. I think it's very important that like stories like this are told. In terms of the characters, I like that. I think it is kind of confusing, like, Yagna and her relationship with Antek, like what that was about. In some ways, I'd want to know more backstory, but I think there's some assumptions you can make of that. They're all in a village. They all grew up together. So there's like a history that all of these characters have with one another, and we're kind of like just dropped in between. And Yagna isn't like a perfect person either, though. It's like she has her own faults, and maybe she is kind of like the town flirt, right? But that doesn't condemn somebody. And she's in love with a married man. But does that mean like she should be expelled and banished from the town? So there's like, I think there's like a level of complexity to this story that's really good. That I really enjoyed, and it just makes all the characters feel like very human. But yeah, just like you said about those elements of like the land and like the economy, it almost seemed like if you weren't married, you were in trouble. You just like man die. Or woman, right? Like Borneo is like he's the most powerful person in this town, and he's like, oh my God, I got to get married. I don't know what the benefit for him. Well, I mean, I know some benefits, but like, are there other benefits that he's getting from being married? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Danny, your thoughts on marriage and land?
Together? I don't know. Yeah, I was really bugged with Yagna's approach to Antek in the beginning, because not saying I'm smarter than you guys, but I knew he was married right away, and I was so confused on the story, because it was like, we're supposed to be kind of like in her corner, and I am in her corner when it comes to, her abuse and etc. But man, I'm like, can we not go for a married man? There's like this one nice carpenter guy that she was talking to like midway through the movie. I was like, he's been single the entire time, Yagna.
Honestly, I thought that was one of her brothers. His first two scenes.
Me too. Yeah.
But I understand that she's being sold off for money, etc. But also, if we're gonna have a fling with someone, can we have a fling with someone who's single, please? But for me, this goes into my next point. When it gets down to the like finale of this scene, and it's the scene where the mob has come for her, and Antek, I wanted him strung up so bad in the finale of this scene. The fact that he's just off alone, and just cutting down wheat to take out his aggression and whatever he's caused, but he has no, there's no penalty to him in this town of what he's caused to this woman. It was maddening. Like, it was like, I'm like watching what is happening to her. She's being, spit on, stripped naked, hog-tied, thrown into the mud. And he's just out there, getting to have his moment of silence while this happens to her. Like, where's the mob stringing him up to? Like, what are we doing?
Or the priest's mother.
Or that woman. Oh my God.
That woman is pure evil.
Yeah.
God.
Or the fact that he didn't even have the guts to like condemn her. Like, he wouldn't even say that, like, yes, we should like force her out. He was like, well, you guys are the town. I guess I'll stay out of it.
I forgot about that. He didn't even like, oh my God, I wanted to strangle the life out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think maybe I would have preferred, this is like real life back then. So it's like me saying, I would have preferred if this person had a little bit more, compassion, or I would have I just didn't like Antek at all.
No.
And you have to kind of like him a little bit because he's a big part of this story. And I get that he's maybe supposed to be a complex character, but he didn't feel that complex to me. He just felt like a pissed off, spoiled, entitled dude.
Yes.
Who wanted his way, and if he didn't get it, he would get violent. And he maybe tried to redeem himself by saving his father at the last minute instead of killing him. And, maybe that's the point of the story. Like, that's just who he was or is in the original. Like, this is an adaptation of a novel that I think won a Nobel Prize. But for me, like, sitting there as a viewer, it's just like kind of pushes me away a little bit.
Yeah, I think if anything, Antek, you want to see a character have growth or something. It's more like he regresses by the end of this because it's like he eventually gets everything he wants, right? Like he inherits his father's land. He becomes the first farmer. He could have probably had Yagna, like he could have defended her. He probably could have had her as like his mistress or whatever. I mean, his wife left and went on a journey or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he could have had everything he wanted. But he chooses not, like out of spite, out of like the hatred in his heart, to like turn his back on her, for whatever else was going on in him. So I think there's something there, but it feels terrible as a viewer because I was the same. Like I was furious watching the end. It's so infuriating seeing what happens in this.
And at the same, like I know maybe people would say like that's the point. You're supposed to feel uncomfortable. Like this is what happens, and you kind of said that in your review. Like this happens today. I will say that like yes, those where she gets like hogtied, like it's incredibly rough to watch. But like the very end scene where she's standing and she gets to stand up in the rain, I thought that was beautiful. Like the ending of the movie of her letting the rain wash over her, essentially like letting the town, like get that shitty town dirt off me. Like I'm going elsewhere. I will like live again. I'm going to start over. I don't need this. I thought that ending was great. But like the journey to get to that is just like,
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah, because it is like, well, from the beginning of the movie, she says she has those conversations with her mom where she's like, I want to make my own choices. I want freedom. I don't want to marry. I want to marry who I want to marry. And at the end of this, even though she's banished from the town that has ruined her life, to her, there's almost like a smirk on her face of like, I finally can do what I want. Like I have this autonomy now that I never had before. So in some way, it is kind of like, I mean, it's very bitter, but there's like some sweetness at the end.
Yeah. Or she has to find like a potato sack to wear at some point because she's
Step
fully
one.
naked in the rain.
Yeah.
Hopefully she did find something to put on. Proto, next point, or was the ending that point?
Yeah, I guess we covered my big points. Let's see. Honorable mentions. This reminded me a lot, I think, of Fiddler on the Roof. Obvious reasons. Incredible movie.
Incredible episode.
The Cabbage Party. I need to know more about this Cabbage Party. Do we need to start this up again? Is this a Polish thing, Polish tradition?
Should we try it at the lake house this weekend?
Oh,
Bring a sack of cabbages, start peeling them,
all
see
of
what
us
happens.
shirtless as we
And two
shred
people
cabbage.
that are incredible musicians start playing in the background.
Yeah, how about this band? Like,
Just
do these guys, are they employed by the town? Just, what
The bards.
an amazing gig.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think the arrangement of her wedding, right? Like she gets to marry this first farmer. She's sitting pretty. She's getting this land. Her mother's excited about that. Everything looks good. And then the way, like, after Bornya dies and the way that all like sours like milk, I thought that was like really great, because I think even as a viewer, it's like, wow, I guess this is pretty good. Like, yeah, she might not love the guy, but at least like she's set up for life. Like, that's pretty good. But then like after his death, it's just like the conniving between the siblings, the threats, that house. Oh my God. Like, how could you even stay in that house?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just like so nervous for her in all those scenes.
They're talking about like people like they reference like lawsuits where you're gonna get sued and there's like a court. Like,
yeah, I was court. That feels so
what
modern.
Year is this where this is happening? Like, what rules are in place here? I feel like there are no rules.
Yeah. Oh, I like that scene with Bornya, like his death scene of him coming out and then going out into the field and sowing. And that song too, like the "Come Farmer, Time to Sow." I thought that was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Again, yeah, the score and the soundtrack of this was really great. My last note, Antec U POS.
I know.
I can't really stress enough how beautiful I thought this movie was, how much I enjoyed it just visually. Like you're saying about like the trouble of reading the subtitles. I could go back and watch this and just turn the subtitles off, you know, and just like watch it really. Because after we watched it, you know where the story is going. It feels like you could watch it without knowing what they're saying. Because it's that compelling to me. So I felt like full as like a movie lover watching this by the end of it. It was just like, wow, I'm grateful that a movie like this exists and that I was able to watch it and watch with you guys. So I'm at 4 stars for the Peasants.
Mamma mia.
Toast Modern mentions that there was an English dub. I looked. I did not see an English dub on Netflix. I saw Spanish and Polish.
Yeah, I looked for English too.
Amazon had an English one.
What? Huh? I might need to fire that up.
Very interesting. Let me go through my notes. The thunderstorm scene I thought was great. Like that scene where Antec helps her with the carriage and they're kind of like touching each other and getting close. I thought that was beautiful.
Mamma mia.
Before you kind of knew that this guy was trash. Before I'm an hour before I even realized he's married. That was probably in the first 30 seconds of the movie, but I'm just like looking at the screen. I'm not reading anything. Literally one of my notes is halfway through my notes. Wait, this idiot is married? ? Dude is a downer. The sex fire. Remember when Bornya lights the hay on fire?
Oh my God.
Yeesh. Wild. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're 10 feet away from everyone.
Right.
Like, let's slow it down a little bit. Just like walk for 30 minutes and you're out of civilization. The fight over the wood and like that whole thing where they rise up and have the battle.
Yeah.
I don't know and then the cops show up. I wrote there are cops? ? Like, who are these dudes? And they're shocked that like this one dude dies. But like, what was the end game when you're running up with wood? I think some people had an axe.
Right,
people are going to die if you're using an axe in a fight. So like, are we really shocked that someone is dead? I didn't understand what was going on there.
They're all beating the crap out of each other, and then someone gets shot, and they're like, whoa, guys.
Yeah. I was using an axe around. We didn't know you were going to use a gun.
Did you, I don't know how far you watched that studio tour when he was talking about the painting of that fight scene?
Yeah.
And he was saying, because all of this is also filmed. The live actors had filmed these scenes. And when they filmed that fight scene in the woods, it was in the summer. There was no snow on the ground. So the artist had to envision when painting what it would look like covered in snow, which I'm like, how did they make this film?
Yeah.
It's blowing my mind.
I feel like there's still so many questions.
There's too many questions.
Yeah. We don't have the time to get into it. I love how that's the first, an hour into this episode, that's the first moment we said that this movie was also filmed with real people. Hopefully people maybe knew that already. The church scene when the women switch sides.
Oh my
When she
God.
sat down, come off it.
Yeah.
This is church. Like, what are we doing
Mhm.
here?
It's different time.
Boy. I kind of said it. I really had trouble connecting with the characters in this movie. Visually great. I mean, I was before the ending scene, I was at like 2.5 stars.
Holy cow.
That was just my view, but 3 stars from
Okay.
me for the Peasants.
My only other note was one of the things I really loved is the passage of time and the showing of the 4 seasons.
Mm.
I thought that was like them like really flexing their muscles on us when it comes to oil painting and what they were making for this film. While the subject matter sucks, I love this film. Like I don't know. I really enjoyed it enough to where I had to see The Loving Vincent today to see what else they made. I'm at 4.5 stars for this film.
Hello.
I really loved it.
God bless.
Hello. Okay. Great pick, Proto.
Fantastic pick.
Thank you.
Off the beaten path. You know?
It's dangerous, but
It is a very dangerous game to play. Very dangerous. But hopefully, you know, obviously when we pick these movies, hopefully the majority of our audience tags along, tries to watch something new to them, something different. In between, you know, our episodes where we cover Dick Tracy or Blade. Name another podcast that covered the Peasants, but then also Blade in the span of a couple months. Next week is Danny's pick.
It is.
Is he locked?
I'm
That's
locked.
the question.
I just pulled it up, so I need to ask you guys a question.
Uh-oh.
It's not streaming.
Oh,
It's
God.
rentable
Okay.
and buyable on
Is it on
VOD.
YouTube?
No, it's not that. It's
All
not
right.
one of those movies.
Well, as long as it's rentable, I feel
It's
like that's
rentable.
fine.
It's rentable. And it's probably sitting on every shelf in a Goodwill if you need to get a disc of it. Maybe your library has it. Look
Support
around.
local
people.
libraries,
Support local libraries.
please.
So we're going back to World War II. But this film was made in 1992, and I am righting some wrongs with this one. So we're going with Penny Marshall's A League of Their Own.
What?
Gina Davis, Lori Petty, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, and then Tom Hanks is in there somewhere.
Oh my God.
finally.
We did it.
This is like 240 episodes in the making.
Yeah.
Where
They get
you
their own.
picked, what was the other movie you picked instead?
Riding with cars.
in
Riding with cars and boys.
Riding with boys in cars. Look at this poster. I've never seen this poster before.
It's a
Is this a
banger
new
poster.
default poster? I'm used to like a DVD slip. I've never
For
seen
League?
this. Yeah, the one with like the waist down.
Uh-huh.
That's the poster I'm seeing right now.
Yep.
Wow, I've
Yeah,
never
that's
seen it before.
it's that one or like the stars.
Yeah, I think that's the one I
Mm.
generally know. Or like the floating heads. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Okay, wow. This is BLB. I don't remember really ever as an adult sitting down to watch this.
I mean, I watched this so many times. I think probably one of the most watched films I've ever had. But I haven't watched it since high school, middle school. I don't know. We watched it so many times that I know nostalgia fog is all over this thing.
Mm-hmm. Righting a wrong.
Is this our first sports movie?
Wow.
Is
Oh,
it?
wait, we did Love and Basketball, right?
Oh,
yeah,
we
we
did.
did.
Yeah.
During World War II, sisters Dottie and Kit joined the first female professional baseball league and struggle to help it succeed amid their own growing rivalry. Wait, yeah, that's so weird. The last sports movie we covered was also directed by a woman.
Something about that.
How long ago was Love and Basketball? That's further than.
Well, we know it
November
wasn't this year.
2003.
Madonna
Golly
back on the
gee.
pod.
Madonna's back.
Hell yeah. Is
We've
this when I
covered
finally watched that documentary?
50% of her movies now.
That's not true. She's been in more than that. I'm going to watch the doc. I'm saying, what if we watch the doc at the lake house?
Oh,
that's a good idea.
it's a great idea.
What's the name of that doc? Madonna, Truth or Dare. She's dating Warren Beatty around the time she filmed this. Kevin Costner came to see her show. They don't make him like this anymore, folks. League of Their Own. Okay.
Iconic.
Great pick. Glad you're able to right some wrongs.
Yeah.
After 5 years.
You're welcome.
Proto, closing thoughts this week.
Closing thoughts. We really haven't said anything about the current state of the world, and especially things in the United States. But all I wanted to say was that I know a lot of people are out there. Probably a lot of our listeners are going through having complicated feelings, emotions, fears, yada yada. And I just want to say that we're here too, and we're thinking about those things as well. I think the scary thing is when you feel alone. I think that to me, like when I can feel alone about these things is the hardest times. So I just want to say that what you're feeling is, I think I could say for all three of us, we're feeling those same things and thinking about those things, and just that you're not alone. And that's it, really.
Goodness. Well said, Proto. See everybody next week for A League of Their Own. $70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. And music composed by Cinematric. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to Pro or Patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.